Hey there guys, Ignite the Fire here and welcome back to another daily upload of Skylanders Schooled for Game Show, where I go back to all the old Skylanders games and put the old Skylanders into battle classes like the Senseis and Skylanders Imaginators. Now notice how I said daily right there. The question is, if I've already uploaded a Schooled video today, why should there be another one? Well, I'm uploading a double upload of Skylanders Schooled, not only because the previous episode was literally dedicated to Skylanders with double weapons, so the double uploads could go alongside that, you could say, but it's also the fact that we missed yesterday's upload in favour for Transformers Thursdays instead, so my compensation for that is this additional video dedicated to the ninjas right here. And yes, I said ninjas. Now this is definitely by far my most controversial cast of this series so far, and that's mostly because I feel of the Spyro's Adventure cast. So when it comes to the Spyro's Adventure cast, the most obvious one here is Stealth Elf. Now Stealth Elf is melee based, but there was nothing limiting ninjas to ranged characters only. Boom Bloom, for example, is very melee based, so ninjas can be melee based as much as they are ranged, but the main thing about ninja is that they trick enemies into coming into their traps or sneak upon them when they least expect it, and that's what Stealth Elf is great at. She teleports from one area to another so that then she can slash down her enemies before they can even conceive of her getting them. And she can also set up traps for them as well by leaving behind some nasty scarecrows for them to deal with. So Stealth Elf very much got the aesthetics of a ninja with her outfit and everything, and along with that she also has some moveset, mind you. But then the question is raised, why did I put Zap and Sunburn into this class? Well, these characters were very hard to classify, and I couldn't find any other class for them other than ninjas. And I picked Zap for this in particular because Zap lays down sea slime slides and then electrocutes them as enemies get near. So that's basically a trap, in other words. And ninjas are very good at leading enemies into traps and killing them in ways that they wouldn't expect, as well as killing them without them expecting it. So yes, the trickiness of Zap is what makes him a ninja. And then there's Sunburn. Now, like Stealth Elf, Sunburn can teleport, which can make him unpredictable and tricky. And those are definitely traits of a ninja. But apart from that, there isn't much ninja-y stuff to him, so I can definitely see why you wouldn't add him as a ninja personally. But with the Spyro's Adventure out of the way, we're now moving on to the Swap Force cast, which is our biggest cast in terms of gimmick characters of any game, for ninjas that is. And basically, I have Stink Bomb here because not only is he sneaky in the fact that he can turn himself invisible and then literally sneak up to enemies without them even seeing him and table swipe them, as I've said with previous ninjas, killing them without them expecting it. But he also has ninja shurikens, and ninja shurikens is a very typical ninja weapon, and he also has the personality of a ninja, being sneaky and kind of arrogant at times. So Stink Bomb is the perfect example of a ninja, alongside Stealth Elf, of course. And then there's Freeze Blade, who I think is a ninja purely because this frisbee-based thing is kind of like a ninja star, I'd personally say, and it definitely has range to it. And then not to mention, he also kills enemies in ways that they wouldn't expect by trapping them in his own casts of ice and then launching his frisbee at them. So he can be sneaky when he wants to be, or at least tricky, mind you, and that's what makes Freeze Blade a ninja, but most of all is his weapon being quite similar to a ninja star in the fact that it is frisbee-like. And last but not least, there is Spyrise. Now, whilst he does fire off blasts rather than firing off ninja stars, what this guy is great at is jumping into the air and then coming down when you don't expect it. That most of you didn't expect, and that's exactly what Spyrise does to his enemies. He comes down on them all of a sudden without their knowledge of him even being up there to begin with. So that kind of sneakiness to his moveset is what makes Spyrise a ninja, in my personal opinion. And so that does it for Swappers. Next up we have our Trap Masters, Enigma and Lobstar. Now, Enigma is another one I had a really big internal debate about, but I decided to make him ninja at the end purely because his moveset is so similar to Stealth Elf, And in that case, he would make a great ninja, because as I said before, ninjas don't always need to be ranged, and what this guy specialises in is his magical powers, where he turns invisible, even creates clones of himself to disorientate and confuse enemies just as Stealth does, and then he sneaks up on his enemies whilst invisible and strikes them down. They never saw him come in. So the sneakiness to this character's moveset is what makes him a ninja. And then Lobstar is a ninja purely because he is speedy and he is tricky. He can set up all sorts of steam traps above all. And then he also has a traditional ninja weapon in the fact that he has ninja stars. There is even Imaginator based weapons based of those very ninja stars right there. So the weaponry alone solidifies Lobstar's position as a ninja, mind you. And then we also have, from Trap Team, our last core-based character, Fling Kong, who I feel is a knight purely because whilst these frisbees of his aren't ninja stars, they surely are close enough. And not only that, but you can also charge forward with his carpet and then initiate some symbol-based attack, which can defeat enemies without them seeing it coming, because they can't possibly see him swooping it in with his carpet like that, and that's a tricky, that's the trickiness to his moveset, you could say. But above all, enemies could also be killed from behind by his frisbees without them noticing it, because not only can his frisbees pierce through enemies, but it can also bounce off walls like crazy. So, the trickiness of this guy, and the fact that he has a very ninja-based weapon, and the fact that frisbees are as close to ninja stars as you can get without being actual ninja stars, definitely makes Fling Kong a ninja. But last but not least, we have a supercharger right here. Now, you're probably wondering why Super Shot Stealth isn't here. Well, you'll find out why in a later video. But enough of these plugs. It seems like that's what this series is best for. Basically, with Nightfall, she's a ninja for basically the same reason as Enigma and Stealth Elf. She gets into a form which she's entirely invisible to enemies, sneaks up upon them, and then slashes them down. None of them seeing it come in the process. And her moveset is actually extremely tricky, even more so than the previous Skylanders mentioned, because it's very hard to master, and it will definitely have enemies juggled all about the place, is what I'm saying here. So, Nightfall, once again, is another ninja, and not to mention her name is a typical ninja trait, because ninjas wait for Nightfall, because in the darkness, you're less likely to notice them. With a lack of light, your sense of sight is not at its finest, which is what makes it so great for ninjas, mind you. And man, I made a small little poem there. Who knew that I could be a poet and everything? I'm schooling myself here, it would seem. But anyways, enough of that. This schooled episode is coming to an end, so I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow for another schooled episode. But until such a moment, peace.